something a little more thoughtful. But I was really lazy and I realized, well, today maybe I'll give it some more thought and actually try to reflect on what it means to me that we're celebrating Martin Luther King Day every year. And, especially this year, it's been a rough past 12 months for everyone. And I was thinking about what are some of the qualities that Martin Luther King lived so well that I'm trying to do better in my own life in some small way. And one of the qualities, of course, is leadership. We're all here at Toastmasters, presumably because we're trying to get a little bit better with not only our public speaking skills, but also our leadership skills. And I thought, well, okay, what makes someone a great leader? I was browsing a little bit on some TED Talks recently, and one of the things that I noticed that it seemed they all had in common was a lot of them were maybe a little bit nervous as speakers. Some of them weren't super slick salespeople. But what I loved was that they all had such a love for their topic. They were so passionate about it. And when I think back on Martin Luther King's most famous speech, what's often called the I Have a Dream speech, it's so clear listening to recordings and reading the transcript that there was so much love for that message that he was trying to share. He was so passionate about civil rights, about getting this message out to the world. And I thought, okay, that's something I need to consider because oftentimes when I'm about to present or talk during a meeting at work, I often focus on, oh no, did I memorize the exact thing that I needed to? I'm feeling nervous. What if I forget this? What if I don't remember to mention this other thing? And really, probably what I should be spending more time on is just feeling the excitement about the topic, feeling the love for what I'm doing. And I do love my job. It's hard at times, but I do want to bring that excitement to whatever I'm doing, whether it's a client presentation or even something like Toastmasters tonight. And I just thought, what a great message that I can focus on for the rest of the week, trying to find that excitement, that love for what I'm about to share. And as I focused on that a bit more, I found that my general nervousness about getting every little detail perfect was somewhat mitigated. And I was a little more excited and motivated. So that was just one thing that I reflected on after Martin Luther King weekend. But I also wanted to open up to the rest of you. If any of you guys have some interesting insights, ideas, anything interesting you did on the weekend that might be perhaps more impressive than me just being lazy around the house. But yeah, as Toastmaster of the evening, I'll open it up. Does anyone want to share ideas they've been thinking about this past weekend or any fun activities you've been involved with? Holly.
Oh, yes. So for me, I know it was MLK Day just recently passed. And I think the best quote he ever said was, a man who has nothing, I think it went something like this, like a man who has nothing worth dying for has nothing worth living for. And I think he said that at the end of his life. So it just makes me reflect because the honest truth is if you're willing to die for what you believe in, then you know you're living a righteous way. And he said that in his life because he knew that he would not be here forever. But if you look at every single person that's like him or great or just believe in whatever they believe in, I mean, they're willing to do whatever it takes. And so I reflect that on myself, like, what am I willing to do? I mean, I'm willing to like burn, hurt, like whatever it takes to get what I want. And I don't think I like a year ago, 2 years ago, had you asked me this question, like, are you going to do whatever it takes? I'd be like, no. Now I'm at the point where I'm just like, I'm willing to do whatever it takes by any means necessary. And I just reflected on that this weekend. Like, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. It does not matter what it is.
That's such a great point. Yeah, thank you, Ali. That's an interesting question of, are you really prioritizing your goals and realizing maybe there's a lot more work you need to put towards them. I've sometimes had that where it's like, am I really doing the best I can to reach this point, or should I maybe invest a little more time and effort into something? And yeah, it's always good to have those inspirational quotes and touch points, if you will, to come back to kind of give you that extra boost and be like, yeah, that's what I should do. That's what I'm going to do. Well, thank you. And does anyone else want to share anything from reflections, anything you did this past weekend related to Martin Luther King Day? Any thoughts, comments? It's open to members and guests, by the way, so guests are welcome to chime in as well. I think I saw Natalie raise your hand.
Yes, hi. So I wanted to share that I'm reading a book called The 48 Laws of Human Nature, and it actually aligned perfectly with this weekend because there's a section on Martin Luther King. And what I found impressive and connected to what Ali was sharing on willing to do whatever it takes was that this particular section showcases Martin Luther King, the man and the icon as we know him, and his use of love and peace to create change, and also shows his humanity. And similar to how we grapple with these questions of courage, am I doing enough, and do I have what it takes, he struggled with that. And so it was really interesting to have that perspective into a great leader's mind, and to see how he was questioning himself and asking himself these hard questions, and what was motivating him. He was in it for all of the right reasons. He had every opportunity to be set up for a comfortable life with his father offering him a role in his church back home. And he chose the road less traveled and combined spirituality with pragmatism, which is what really caused him to stand out. But at the same time, his objective wasn't fame. It was really to drive change in a meaningful way. And there were moments when being in the limelight cost him and his family their safety. And ultimately it cost him his life. And I think he battled that till the very end, you know, living out his purpose versus having a comfortable life. And ultimately we know what he chose, but it was interesting to see that thought process and the humanity behind it. And to learn.
Wow. Yeah, that's really fascinating. Thanks for sharing that, Natalie. It's always interesting. I have a lot of admiration for people who could have had a really easy life, but they chose the high road, so to speak. They really chose to try to make a difference and use the privilege they did have to really help others who were struggling, and help, you know, in this case with Martin Luther King, he really helped an entire generation of people to kind of wake up to the need for civil rights. And that's really cool. And definitely it's a story worth revisiting, I think, every year. Wonderful. Well, thank you everyone for sharing those thoughts. And before we get into the main part of our meeting, which is of course speeches, I do want to recognize some amazing helpers we have with us tonight who are going to be filling in some roles. And to kick us off, we have our joke/inspirational master, and that is Elvis Lopez. So I'll turn the mic over to you, Elvis.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. To continue on a positive note, I would like to share with you a short story titled 3 Feet from Gold. And the story goes this way. During the gold rush, a man who was mining in Colorado for several months decided to quit his job. He hadn't struck gold yet, and he had been doing it for several months, and the work was getting tiresome. He sold his equipment to another man who immediately started working, digging exactly where the previous one left off. The new miner was advised by his engineer that there was gold only 3 feet away from where the other person stopped digging. And he was right, which means that the previous miner was only 3 feet away from striking gold before he quit. The moral of this story is that when things start to get harder, we must persevere through adversity. Many people just quit following their dreams because the work becomes tedious, difficult, or tiresome. And oftentimes, you're closer to the finish line than you may think. And just if you push a little harder, you may succeed. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Oh, thank you, Elvis. Sorry, I had trouble unmuting myself there. That was such a great inspiration. I love that idea of don't get discouraged. You're so close. Definitely a good thing to keep in mind for all of us. Wonderful. Our next helper tonight will be our grammarian, who will help keep track of our filler words, our ums and ahs, and also comment on use of grammar that we may need to improve on. So for that role, I will turn it over to Julian. Let's give him a warm welcome over Zoom.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Good evening, members and guests. My name is Julian, and I will be your grammarian this evening. It is my job to look for those filler words in all the speeches and other stuff, like and so and others. Also, just looking out for general grammar errors, like I'm doing right now. Today, the word of the day is meticulous, and the definition is showing great attention to detail, very careful and precise. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Julian. Great overview. We'll be coming back to you towards the end of the meeting to see how we did. At this point, we do also want to make sure that we have someone to keep track of time, to make sure the speeches aren't too long or too short. So for that, we have a timer, and I'll turn it back over to our presiding officer/president, David Jones.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. As a timer tonight, I will be keeping track of everybody's time for the prepared speeches, the evaluations, and the table topics. And at the end of each of the speeches, you have an extra 30 seconds grace period. So for instance, the prepared speeches are 5 to 7 minutes. At 5 minutes, I will turn on my green light, which is there. Everybody can see that one. At 6 minutes, yellow, and at 7 minutes, red. And again, once it hits red, you have 30 seconds grace period. For the table topics, it'll be 1 to 2 minutes, green at 1 minute, yellow at 1.5, and red at 2 minutes. And with the evaluators, they're 2 to 3 minutes, 2 minutes with green. The yellow will be at 2.5, and then red at 3 minutes. Good luck to all of you. Back to you, Mrs. Table Topic Master, or Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, David. Love your backgrounds, very easy to see. All right. So with that, we're into the exciting portion of the meeting, which is our actual speakers. And our first speaker tonight will be Natalie Alberto, and she's working on the presentation mastery element of Pathways. And Natalie's speech is titled In Memory of Gouda, in Memory of a Gouda. And it's funny because when I saw that title, my thought was it Gouda cheese, or maybe this is something else? So we'll have to wait and see what this speech is about, but I'll turn it over to Natalie.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, I'm moving my seat to the side. I appreciate being with you this evening and having the opportunity to share about a cause very near and dear to my heart, pet adoption. The title of my speech was In Memory of a Gouda Boy, Jake. He was my 11-year-old dog who I adopted at that age and loved Gouda cheese. That's why he's my Gouda boy. I adopted him in October of 2018. And what would seem to many as a spontaneous decision was actually very thought out. So today I want to talk to you about pet adoption, the importance of knowing if you are ready to be a pet owner, and alternative ways that you can help even if you're not ready to own a pet yourself. I'd like to show you a photo of Jake. He was very special. He had vampire teeth. Get him in the shot. He was a cockapoo with some vampire teeth. And when I adopted him at the Humane Society in Miami, he'd been left by his owners. I arrived there, I tried to meet him twice. And I arrived the first time and I made it just after close, so we didn't get to meet. I was committed to meet him and I drove back the next day and I made it just in time after work to have the opportunity to meet Jake. My plan was I was going to meet him and then I'd come back on the weekend and take him home. Well, I took Jake out of the cage and I met him. He was nervous, he peed on himself, and there was no way that I could put him back in the cage. We were going home that night. Now, to many of my friends, this seems spontaneous, as I said. I'm actually a very risk-calculated person, and I think through my decisions carefully. So on the exterior, it looked like an impulsive choice, but I'd actually done my homework. I learned that nearly 6 million to 8 million pets are in the shelter system and they enter annually. This is according to the ASPCA. What was interesting to me in doing research and learning more about pet adoption was that there's not one governing body. So numbers differ between the Humane Society to the ASPCA, but this is an average. And there tends to be more dogs. There's about 3.2 million dogs annually that enter pet shelters. And then there's 3.1 million cats that enter the shelter system. Dogs tend to be adopted far more frequently than cats do. And those pets that are not adopted, depending on the shelter's practices, are often euthanized. That personally breaks my heart. I think it's important to know why you're choosing a pet. And when I did my research, I looked at different sites, and one was from a veterinarian, Dr. Andy Rourke. And he has a list of criteria that you should consider if you are looking into adopting a pet or having a pet by any means. So one is lifestyle. What is the size of your home? And do you have enough time to take care of the dog? And the size of the dog. So you want to consider these factors. If you have a small apartment, you're probably going to want to get a smaller dog versus if you have a larger home where your dog could get exercise, you might opt for a larger dog. Or if you have a small apartment, but more time and you're going to be able to get your dog to the dog park, you might consider that. So these are factors that you want to take into consideration. You also want to look at your time. Do you have enough time to take care of this pet? Now, what's been really beneficial about COVID that I found in my research is that fostering and adoption numbers are going up, which is fantastic. They do anticipate, though, that there could be a boomerang. And that's why I want to introduce you to Petey in the background. And a boomerang means that there could be the potential of pets returning to shelters from owners who made impulsive decisions and were not ready to become pet owners or did not realize the responsibility that came with caring for a pet. And so Petey is actually a dog that I found this weekend when walking Oliver. Many of you have met Oliver because he pops into our Zoom meetings on occasion, but Oliver's another rescue that we have in our family, and he's my parents' dog. He made his way to us Valentine's a few years ago, and he's been with us ever since. So this weekend, Oliver chose an alternative path on his walk, and we ended up in the entrance of a forest near my mom's neighborhood, and Petey was chained to a bridge in the cold, left alone. This broke my heart. We took Petey off of his leash, got him back on his leash, and brought him home. I'm happy to say that my brother is actually going to be adopting Petey and welcoming him into his family. But what I learned, as you can see from Petey, is that he is a pit bull, and pit bulls are actually overbred according to the Humane Society, and they tend to be the dogs most often turned into shelters and most often euthanized because of the high breed rate. So I invite anyone considering a pet to choose adoption because there is a need, whether it's a cat or a dog. Animal shelters even have, from my research, rabbits and reptiles if you're looking for an animal in that is not a cat or a dog. And the alternative ways that you could help if you aren't ready to be a pet owner full time, is you can foster. You can also visit the Humane Society or ASPCA's page, and they have donations that you can make to various initiatives where they spay and neuter pets, which is extremely important because when dogs and cats are not spayed and neutered, that's where they overpopulate. And there's 67,000 dogs on average from one female litter in 6 years, according to the ASPCA. And cats, over 7 years, one cat can reproduce 370,000 kittens. So please consider adoption and or making a donation and helping foster or find pets a home. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Excellent speech. And I'm sorry I left off the last word of your title, but that makes sense. It's such a sweet story about pet adoption. And I have also heard that it's becoming very popular during the COVID era to adopt pets. It's definitely something we've occasionally talked about as a family, like, oh, would anyone want to get a dog at some point? Don't think we're quite there yet, but that's definitely, if you are going to get a pet, definitely consider adoption. I think that's a great message. Thanks. Wonderful. And I think at this point, we have a couple more speeches. So I get to introduce our next speaker, which is Ali Tobin. And Ali will be working on his pathway speech. And Ali, I forgot to ask you, do you have a speech title?
Oh, they're like, they start laughing. It's called
No worries.
It's called The Power of Time.
Sorry, what was that?
The Power of Time.
The Power of Time. All right, that sounds good. Well, again, a title that could be interpreted in different ways. So I'll turn it over to you and we'll enjoy hearing about the power of time.
Thank you, Madam Toastmasters. Hello, fellow Toastmasters. Hello, fellow guests. My name is Ali Tobin. Today I come to give you a speech called The Power of Time. I just like to start this speech off with two quotes that I try to apply to my life every day. One is by 50 Cent. He said, sleep is for those people who are broke. I don't sleep. I've got an opportunity to make a dream become reality. Now, some of you are probably like, oh, he's starting this speech off aggressive. Trust me, it's going to ease out at the end. Second speech is by Elon Musk. He says, work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in 80 to 100 hour weeks. This improves odds of success. If other people are putting in 40 hours a week and you're putting in 100 hours a week, then even if you're doing the same thing, you know that you'll achieve in 4 months it takes in a year to achieve. So my speech is called The Power of Time because I realize that time is the only asset that we all have. It's the most important asset that we all have. It's something that you can't buy with money. It's something that you can't get back, and it's something that's in front of our face every single day. You look up every single day, alarm clock wakes you up, and if your passion wakes you up, you know what time it is because you're mentally waking up based off your passion. But time is the most important thing that we can't get back in this life. And so I like to tell people all the time, like, you have to go to a gravesite and look among the gravesite, because in the gravesite, it's a lot of untapped potential of people who didn't commit their time to really doing what they want. Now, life is hard. It's really hard. COVID-19 has taught all of us that life will hit you like this. But right now, I feel as though it's the best point for personal development and dream creation for everybody in the world. We have all the time in the world to commit ourselves to ourselves and our dreams. One, you can't go nowhere. The bars are closing like at 9 o'clock. So you can't really go out to a bar. Two, you can't go to nobody's house. People don't even want to have you over no more. So things are changing. So a lot of us have a lot of time to just sit and reflect and figure out, okay, how do I put myself in a position to be greater than I was last year? So this is why I say time is the most important asset that we all have, because you can't buy time back. You can't buy that at all. Now, what you do with your time is the most important thing. Last week, I came to you guys and I gave you all these statistics about the average American sleeping this, the average American working this many hours. Let me tell you guys something. I would like you to eliminate all of those statistics I told you. The only number you should worry about is 168. 168. Okay. Does anybody know how many hours it is in a week? I just need one person to answer. Does anybody know how many hours it is in a week? Anybody? Anybody?
$168.
$168.
Thank you, sir. 168. That's the only number you should be worrying about. How do I fulfill my 168? Because I am the type of person where my whole life, more recently in the last couple of years, is number one, I don't have a college degree. So I don't have no backup plan. I don't have a security blanket. I don't have no type of comfort knowing, God, if this fails, no, I'm no such thing as a plan B when you have a plan A. So I feel like I have to outwork people, right? I feel like, I can't sit back and sleep. I can't sit back and let somebody outwork me. I have no other choice. If I don't outwork that person, they're just gonna be ahead of me. So the way society is set up for certain people. You have to outwork them. And while that person's sleeping, while that person's eating, they're out with their friends, you need to utilize your time to be chasing after your dreams. Because I talk to a lot of older people that are 3 or 4 times my age, and I always ask them this one question: what is one thing you always regret in life? Because my barber told me, he was like, you need to start asking people what mistakes they made for you can learn from their mistakes, because a smart person learns from their own mistakes, a wise person learns from the mistakes of others. So I talk to a lot of older people, and the number one answer I always get is, I didn't utilize my youth. I didn't utilize my youth the correct way. So if you're in your 20s, I challenge you right now. 168 should be your favorite answer. And if you're older than your 20s, Colonel Sanders started KFC in his 60s. So you can do something great too, because I believe that you're never too old and you're never too young. So there's no such thing as age matters when it comes to dreams, because dream creation is something that's inside of you that you will make happen. So this is why I gave you guys these quotes about time, because you have to utilize your time, because you can't get that back. You can't get that time back at all. You're gonna look up and the years will keep going by, and you will say, I gave it my all. I maximized everything I had. So I want you guys to kind of look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady, I believe he's 43 years old. But if Tom Brady was to retire right now, I don't think he would have no regrets. Because in life, if you give it your all and you just, every single day, you just pushing, you just keep pushing, you're giving it all, you live your life with no regrets, because I utilize all my time to chase after my dreams and to make all of my dreams become reality. So I challenge everybody to write down every single week 168. And I'm not saying you have to work 168 hours. You have to get some form of sleep. But I want you to just utilize all the time that you have to follow your dreams. There's something you can sacrifice to make your dreams become reality. Just say, okay, I got to put the TV down. I got to put the phone away. I got to get laser focused in. So I challenge everybody, make 168 be your favorite number, and make sure you utilize all your time, because that's the most important asset that you all have. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Ali. You're always really good at helping us focus on our higher goals and reaching our goals and putting in the work. And that's definitely what I needed. I think this week was off to a lazy start for me. I was kind of getting back into work, and having a 3-day weekend didn't help with that. So I needed your speech to kind of kick me back into gear. So thanks so much for sharing that. All right. For our final speech tonight, we have a newer member who is graciously filling in multiple roles, I believe, and that is Parisa. And Parisa, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you are doing a second version of your speech that you did earlier that is designed to help you get feedback and then put that into practice in this version of your speech. So it may be familiar to some of us, but to some of us guests and newer people who haven't heard it before, it'll be fun to hear it again. So let's all give a warm round of applause to Parisa.
Awesome. Am I in the camera? Yes. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Greeting, fellow Toastmasters and guests. My speech tonight is about explaining user experience or UX design for regular people. I'm a user experience designer, and many people ask me this question. So you're a UX designer, what is that? And as I start explaining, I noticed that I get into too much details, get into too much technical information, which makes people more confused. This is why I decided to talk about it tonight in a simple language with you. First, I would like to ask you to raise your hand if you know what UX or user experience design is. Awesome. That's pretty good. Second, I would like to ask if you use apps for your daily activities. Almost all of us use applications in our daily activities, right? Imagine you want to buy a desk through online shopping, and you choose to use an app with a terrible checkout process. You feel so frustrated that it makes you leave the site without finishing your shopping. And then you say to yourself to go ahead and order the same thing from a better website like Amazon. User experience design is what makes you choose Amazon over the first app that you earlier used. In other words, user experience design is the bridge between you and technology. We as designers bridge the gap that exists between the technology we use and people that use it. We find the problems with existing technology and smooth it out so it's faster and easier to use. Like Amazon. They found a way to make it intuitive for you to check out your items without even thinking about it. So here this question arises that how we designers design digital products. One thing that we do is to research people to understand them. We get into your head so we can make things for you. With extensive research, we want to know how you use technology so we can better understand you and we can give you what you want or what you need. For example, Instacart. Raise your hand if you do your groceries through Instacart. Awesome. I see a few people using it. Great. Imagine if it didn't exist. We designer listen to people's problem with grocery shopping and ask them what they need. And responses might be, a user might says, I don't have time and I don't want to go to grocery stores or to grocery stores to do shopping. Another user says it's COVID time and I don't feel comfortable being around people while I'm shopping. Then we designers sit together and come up with a solution like Instacart. By the way, I haven't designed Instacart. I'm just trying to use it as an example. And as users start using Instacart, we keep listening to them. We keep listening to them. So let me show you, take you through the app a little bit that I can make it easier for you to visualize. This is the app, Instacart. I don't know if you can see that carrot. So one of the users, we sit and talk with users, as one of the users says, when I want to do online shopping, I want to make sure that my shopper grabs the best avocados. And we are like, okay. We add an instruction section. Like this. And here, you can type it for your shopper that they grab the best avocados for you. And the other user says that I want to be able to do shopping from all the stores that I want. And we say, all right, we give you this option to do shopping from variety of stores that if you didn't find what you want in Food Lion, you go through Publix and find it. And this process that we design these digital products is a iterative process. This is how we develop a digital product while being meticulous about our users' feedback to make sure their experience is as intuitive as possible. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Parisa. I loved how you showed us a bit of the example on your screen with Instacart. That's something a lot of us at least have come across. And I definitely think that's one of those unsung hero type of jobs because it's so annoying when an app isn't easy to use. And I think it's so great that you do that type of work that makes your day-to-day interactions with our technology, which we all use, makes that so much more pleasant. It's definitely pretty cool to learn about that behind the scenes. Wonderful. Well, thank you again to all three of our speakers. And at this point, I will call for a timers report to see how our speeches did in terms of staying within those timing guidelines. So I'll turn it over to you, David.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Natalie came in at 6 minutes and 41 seconds. Ali came in at 5 minutes and 53 seconds. And Parisa came in at 5 minutes and 59 seconds. They all qualify. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, David. And I believe you're able to put up a poll for us to vote on Best Speaker. Awesome. All right, so you should be able to vote for your favorite speech. And before we move on to the table topics section of the meeting, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Melissa, who joined us a little later, and just wanted to say welcome, Melissa. I know you're a guest with us, but you're very welcome. And we have some time at the end of the meeting too, if you want to say hello to everyone, but just wanted to welcome you. And also say hi to, I think I saw Elise on there earlier, but just hi, Elise. I know you joined a little later, but wanted to say hello. And now we have a very exciting portion of our meeting because we get to practice our impromptu speaking. This is something that can be a little bit nerve-wracking if you don't have enough experience, but Toastmasters is one of the best places to learn because you only have to talk for 1 to 2 minutes for table topics. And tonight, our table topics master is Balut. So Balut, I'll give you the microphone.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Dear Toastmasters and dear fellow Toastmasters and dear guests, welcome to the table topics portion of the evening. As the table topics master, my role is to facilitate this impromptu speech portion. I'll give you all questions and you'll have 1 to 2 minutes to give an impromptu answer. I'd like to start off with members, a member volunteer to demonstrate, and then I'll invite our guests to participate in this as well. So can I please get a volunteer for the first table topics question? Angelica, thank you. Thank you. So Angelica, tonight's meeting, we started the meeting by talking about MLK. And I remember walking around in Washington, D.C. once, and I saw a statue of his. And what I realized is it was unfinished. And when I asked my friends why, they said, well, his work is unfinished. And I agree with that. And we've seen a lot of that unfold last year and even this year. So my question to you tonight is, what unfinished work do you have? My question to you tonight is, what unfinished work do you have?
Thank you for the question. Well, the answer can take me hours because I feel that I have so many things that still need a lot of work. But if I have to focus on some, and I think that I mentioned this before, when I joined this group to try to improve my speech, is because I know that this is something that has been, I have a lot of work to do on this, and I feel like this is something that is important for my professional development and for my career and just in my regular social life. So I feel like this is what I'm doing right now. Join this group as part of kind of that response of that question that you just asked is what the business that I still haven't done, and I need to do something, and that's what I'm doing now. So thank you for the question. Back to you.
Thank you, Angelica. That's a wonderful answer, and I think we can all agree that becoming a better version of ourselves and practicing in doing so is unfinished work for all of us. So thank you for sharing your answer. Can I get another volunteer, members or guests? Eleanor, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right, but I saw your hand, so we'll go with you. So
you are pronouncing my name right.
Am I? Okay, great, thank you. So your question is, well, let me give you the background a little bit. We've talked about at the beginning that leaders have a topic, something that they're really passionate about. And we know that's the case with Martin Luther King. So my question to you is, what is your topic? My question to you is, what is your topic?
Big question. My topic is, if it's cost you your peace, it's too expensive. So in anything in life that makes you feel upset, disappointed, jealous, angry, that raise any negative feeling, it is too expensive and you're looking at it in the wrong way. There is a different and better way to look at it, to view it, to digest it. If it's between you and other people, you and your family, you and your colleagues, any feeling that comes up as not positive feeling is a signal for you that it's coming out wrong, that you're looking at it in a way that can be looked differently in a better way. So this is I think my main message to the world in everything that I do and everything that I touch and in everyone that I work with or handle or see. That's it. That's my message, and I'm sticking to it.
Well done, well done. You crossed the line right there. So thank you for sharing your message with us. And I can definitely hear that there are a lot of things that we can let go and choose a different way, and that's the path for us to unlock growth. And thank you for sharing that with us. Can I get my next volunteer? And last, we have time for one last one. I might take. All right, Julie. Thank you. So Eleanor just shared with us that sometimes there's a different way, and we can let go of frustration and anger or jealousy. And earlier in the meeting, Elvis shared with us, sometimes we just need to dig a little deeper. And sometimes we need to persevere through that frustration and put in the work. So my question to you tonight is, where do you need to dig deeper? And what's the gold waiting for you? I know that's two questions, but I'll repeat it. Where do you need to dig deeper, and what's the gold waiting for you?
Okay, thank you. The place that I need to definitely dig deeper is I've been practicing meditation at the end of every day. And, you know, I mean, I do have a lot of expectations for this meditation. It's like, when is it going to pay off? Hello, when is it going to pay off? Because I tend to get very frustrated with things. And my goal is to expand and stretch my tolerance for uncomfortable situations. Because when something uncomfortable happens, and I can give you an example, like I was going to get my hair cut and I wasn't totally happy with my hair, so I had made an appointment just to do a consultation and say, hey, you know, what do we do wrong? What can we do better next time? And so I went in and the hairdresser said, you know, I'm not going to cut your hair again. I'm just not going to do it. It's like, that was not what I expected. I expected her to, you know, come up with some tips on what would make me happy with because I was unsatisfied with my hair. And so on the way home, I was driving home and I had to walk out of there, no haircut or no redo. And so that was one thing that I was preoccupied with driving home. And then I was looking at my navigator, and my navigator was upside down. And I really hate it when my navigator isn't pointing north in the direction that I'm going. I like that. This is not the way I liked it. So instead of remembering, oh, this is an opportunity for you to practice your tolerance, I was just like, my mind was just going off on how unhappy I was with this whole situation on top of not getting my hair redone. So I guess that's my goal, is to develop tolerance and hopefully make this meditation that I do at the end of the day pay off faster. I've been doing it a long time. I feel like it should be paying off, but I just guess I have to practice more. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you for sharing that with us. I've been practicing meditation for quite some time too, and it's hard to let go of that expectation that this should pay off at one time. But and I think I can't say I've completely let go of it, but taking Eleanor's advice that there are times that I get better at letting it go and not attaching to any of those expectations. So I hope you can do the same.
Thanks.
Well, thank you to all of our participants. I'd like to turn the control back to our Toastmaster, Vanessa.
Thank you so much, Balut. Excellent job as our table topics master. And before we move on, I'll call for a quick timers report just to see how our table topics participants did in terms of time guidelines. So I'll turn it over to David.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Fortunately, all of our speakers tonight qualified. Angela came in at 1 minute and 9 seconds, Eleanor at 1 minute and 8 seconds, and Julie at 2 minutes on the dot.
Wonderful. Thank you, David. So all of our participants qualified, and David will launch a poll with the 3 names so you can vote. And now we have a portion of our meeting that is very important because we're all trying to improve, and this is the evaluation portion of the meeting. And you guys will have to help me out. I know Jeff and Parisa, I sort of tentatively had you down as general evaluator, and this is on me, but I'm trying to remember who was actually signed up to do it. So if you don't mind shouting out who it was, and maybe there was some confusion at the end because I know Jeff, I sort of invited you to, knowing Parisa had a speech already, but were you comfortable doing that, Jeff? I'm trying to remember.
Sure, yeah, I am comfortable, unless it was who, I'm sorry, Teresa, that was also partaking in it?
I was taking notes, but if you want to do it, go for it. If you have
Okay.
also taken notes, that's fine. We can do it.
All right, thank you. Okay then, sure. I'll just, okay, from my notes here. I may be a little rusty, but this is probably just the thing that I need. So first I'm going to introduce the three evaluators. We have Angelica Ritter, Turker Bulu, and Elvis Lopez. First, I'd like to introduce Angelica with her first evaluator speech.
Thank you, Jeff. So I am evaluating Natalie, and again, Natalie, this is, I think, that the third for speech, maybe third speech that I heard, and I think that you did a great job. Congratulations. I think that the way how you present your speeches are always very make you feel very comfortable. The tone of your voice is very caring as well, formal and casual, which I think that it goes really well typically with the message that you have in your speech. I think that your presentation was great. You smile. You were looking at all of us. You get us engaged in your speech. You have also the right pauses. You were involved. Your hands and your background also was a great support for your presentation. With respect to your topics, I think that you did a great job in the way how you organized your presentation. You got in the beginning, you talk about your experience and your feeling and your experience with your dog, and then you started to give us a very informative data, which I think that was meticulous. All information that you put in your speech to kind of reinforce your message. And then at the end, you give us again, come back to your life experience. So it kind of it was very persuasive. So I appreciate that. You were prepared for your presentation. Definitely, you can tell that you were ready and you got all the information, and that helped with your comfort level. If I have to say something, the only thing, and I think that's because I have seen in the other presentations, and this subject doesn't allow for that, but the other presentation, you have this ice breaking where you make us all stand up, so you kind of engage us. And I was kind of expecting that, but I understand that this presentation, because it wasn't good. But that is probably the only thing that I will say I was missing, just because that fact. But otherwise, and your voice, and sometimes it's like a long pauses that makes that I'm kind of waiting if something is coming up. But otherwise, it was a great job. I really enjoy it. Congratulations. Good job. Thank you.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Angelica. Next, I would like to call our next evaluator for speech number 2. And we have Turker Bulut evaluating Ali Tobin. Take away, Turker.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Tonight I have the privilege of evaluating Ali's speech. And Ali, I must say you did a great job as always. And I have a 3x3 framework to give you feedback tonight. So the first of the 3 is I'm going to list 3 categories: what you excelled at, what you may want to work on, and 3 things you can do to challenge yourself. So let's dive in. You excelled at 1, with a strong message. You started with quotes. Your message was nothing but unclear to all of us. Time is valuable. It has power. Do not waste it. So that was excellently delivered and shared with us. Second thing, no surprise, you had a lot of passion. And that comes through your attitude, your smile, your energy, upbeatness of your speech. And that was excellent. The third, you engaged your audience with a question. You asked us, what does 168 mean? And you got some responses, and that was excellently done. So thank you. 3 areas you may want to work on. The first one is eliminating swinging. You have a lot of energy. It's hard to contain. And you swing as you give your speech. So that distracts from your points, as you can see in mine right now. The second one is you can structure your speech and give us a roadmap. So we know what to expect. You keep us on the edge of our seats. And third is repetition. You had a strong message. And one thing, if we know from strong messages, is if they're consistently delivered with a good repetition technique, they have power. I have a dream. You know, that's repeated over and over in MLK speech. Time has power. You could weave that strong message throughout your speech and land that perfectly. Third area, to challenge yourself. 1, you can incorporate a story. Tell us about a time where you didn't understand the importance of time, but then after something happened that became very, very clear to you. Second, it's hard to do when you have a lot of energy and passion, but you can slow down. I challenge you to slow down because it will make your message land so much more effectively. And third area of challenge for you is get some sleep. You might be surprised how much of a boost it gives your speech. Overall, a great speech, Ali. Thank you for the passion and the delivery, and I'm looking forward to your next one. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, now we have our evaluator for speaker number 3. Our speaker number 3 is Parisa, and forgive me if I mispronounce your last name, Farmadue. And the evaluator is Elvis Lopez. Elvis, please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests again. Teresa, thanks again for giving us your speech. Now it's second time. I enjoyed it much better this time than the one before. You did an excellent job as you did in the first time. It was a very well delivered speech where you started with explaining your objective, what exactly I'm trying to get my audience to understand by this speech that I'm giving. You started by explaining that it is often difficult for you to explain in a non-technical way what your job is. And I think you were able to accomplish that objective. I think at the end of the speech, I ended up learning a little bit more of what a UX designer is. You provided many different examples as well as technical information about what the steps are in order to get to a design. Something that might look like very intuitive to the end user requires a lot of process, interactions, understanding what the customer wants. I like that you started with providing us with an example, a very simple example that we can all relate to. You started with saying, well, if you want to know what a good experience is, well, when you get into Amazon, deciding to stay on it as opposed to going somewhere else, it's something that will tell you, what a good design is. One of the things that I would like to challenge you on is when you are giving presentations, specifically in this environment, which is online, sometimes depending on how we interact with the devices that we have around us. For example, I think you were trying to reach your computer or something that you were having in front of you. And that was a little bit distracting. So just make sure that, being conscious about the environment and what you are trying to present and give us as an illustration. Also, your illustration, you showed something that was not actually very visible. And it took you some time to actually go from one image to the other. So also trying to set it up before you start also will help you to convey the message. So all in all, I think it was a great delivery. You completed your objective. It was clear, and you were able to pass on the message that you started with at the beginning. Great job.
Okay, fantastic job, Elvis. And all three evaluators, great job. Thank you. Thank you for your help. All right, now it's been a little while, so I'm hoping I'm not mixing the general evaluator function with some of the Toastmasters function, but I'd like to call for a timers report for the past three evaluators.
Thank you, Mr.
David.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Seems all of our our evaluators were very meticulous because they all qualified. Angela came in at 2 minutes and 49 seconds. Turker came in at, I apologize, Balut came in at 2 minutes and 55 seconds. And Elvis came in at 3 minutes and 23 seconds. With the 30-second grace period, he does qualify.
Okay, so all three qualify.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic, thank you. And I would also like to call on our grammarian for a grammarian's report, please.
All right. So starting with Vanessa, the Toastmaster, she had very few. I don't think I heard any, but there could have been one in there. David, you had very few. I think I heard an Natalie, you had very few. I heard an maybe, and then maybe one more. Ali, you started with a few. You had some and it got better as your speech went on. So it was really good near the end. And I heard you said nobody, it should be anybody. So that's just one grammar issue. Parisa, I heard an and a few of those, and it was also better near the end. Balut, you had a few and us. Angelica, you had some and a few others, but also not too many. Eleanor, you had a couple ums. That was your filler word. Julie, you had a few ums, an and a so. Jeff, you had a couple ums and a so. Elvis, you had one period where you had a couple uhs, but there was very few, so good job. And I think that's about it. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Or, yeah. Thank you. All right. At this point in time, I believe it's time for me to give it's time for me to give the general evaluators report. So, looking at the overall meeting, from when I came in, I observed that that people were greeted and people were asked to talk a little bit about themselves. However, when it was time for me to prepare to be the general evaluator, I did miss a little bit. So I did miss out on a couple of things, such as if the theme was declared at the beginning or not. But observing as the meeting went along, there was a theme based on Martin Luther King. With regards to the meeting opening, I missed whether or not everyone was properly introduced. So just a thought for future, again, I'm not sure if I missed it or not, but in case if it was missed, I would say that having around and introducing a few of the key members would be an excellent idea. I have seen it done in other meetings. Let's see here. With regards to the Toastmaster introducing the general evaluator, yes, the Toastmaster did. And the Toastmaster did introduce all the appropriate members. Looking at the checklist here, going down, all of the grammarians were introduced, the timers were introduced, all of the other members were introduced. The table topics, with regards to the table topics, I thought that there was the first question was a great one. What unfinished work do you have? And that was based off of Martin Luther King. So that was a really, really good question there, Ali. Overall, I'll say good questions that fit the meeting, fit the audience, fit the holiday. And I have to say that I was really impressed with David's backgrounds there. I think that his ability to choose the backgrounds and choose all of those would actually work as a potential either a speech or an opportunity to have a training to show other people how to do that. Because I was looking on my computer and checking for these, and I was saying to myself, no, I just don't have these here. Obviously, I must be missing something. So there's an opportunity there, I think, with that demonstration of expertise. Overall, I'd say, well, we're pretty good on time. I'd say we are just a few minutes, honestly, literally just a few minutes beyond our estimated closing time, but I think so we are doing really good. And overall, I think it was a well-run meeting. And I have to say that I'd say to keep up the good work. Really, some people doing some fantastic jobs, especially with this COVID situation going on and things being virtual. I see a lot of people doing a lot of good work. So thumbs up to everybody. And on that note, I'd like to hand it off to our Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Jeff, and kudos to you for stepping in last minute. You did an excellent job, really thorough, hitting all the key points. So I really appreciate that. And at this point, I think, we had the timers report, we finished all the voting. So can I confirm that the votes are in, Mr. President? All right, wonderful. Well, in the interest of time, I'll go ahead and turn it back to David, who will announce the winners of today's meeting.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. You did a great job tonight. I appreciate it. And we did go over time a little bit. I mentioned last week that having 3 speakers makes it a little difficult to stay within the 1 hour period. Our friends at AM Lockport do an hour and a half for 3 speeches, but we do try to keep it around an hour. And as far as let me just go back to Jeff. And again, thank you for stepping in as the general evaluator. If you go to our website and click on our YouTube, there is a video on how to do the timers. I happen to do a video. So there is one, but it's the only one I've done yet. So we have a few more videos to make, but it is there. It shows you how to find those colors and how to do everything. So it's great. And our winners for tonight, not winners because we're all winners, our favorite speakers of the night. We're going to start with our table topics. And Julie was the favorite table topic. So congratulations to you, Julie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our favorite, let's see, evaluator was almost unanimous, was Turker. Okay, Turker and I had this big conversation. It's Balut. He goes by Balut. And there's a reason, but that's his reason. So congratulations, Balut. And finally, our favorite speaker of the night was Natalie Alberto. Congratulations to Natalie. And when we're in person, we have little ribbons that we give everybody, but here's your virtual ribbons to everybody who was there. And I think that's really it that we have for tonight. We just wanted to go back to our guests and getting information from them. I noticed there's a Dwight Gordon. We didn't get to meet you. Dwight, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us how you found out about Toastmasters?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so again, Dwight Gordon. I'm actually used to be a member of the Queen City Toastmasters back around 2019. Yeah, I left with work and travel and everything. I was unable to attend the meetings on a consistent basis. So I'm kind of dropped off a little bit. And just back in town, obviously because of COVID, I'm working from home most of the time. So I just decided to check to see if the meetings are still going on, and so that everything is now online. So everyone still looks good. Still, Vanessa, Elise, yeah, I remember those. I guess those are the ones I remember from the last time that I was there. So yeah, so that's it. So was a member back in the day. So yep.
Great, thank you much.
Thanks.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I joined, and then a couple of months later I left, and now I'm back. So there's a whole new group here. Eleanor, what do you think about Toastmasters? I think this is your first Toastmasters meeting. Any thoughts about how it's conducted?
I'm loving it. I'm learning. It's really beautiful to see how you are the speakers and you are the evaluators and you are the timers and you go through this system that seems like creating a flow. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Everybody who spoke tonight, they sign up for those roles, and that's how you get into the public speaking, just doing various different roles. Maria, any thoughts from you?
Well, this is my first meeting and I like it so far. It's very nice how you guys speak and then give feedback. That's a very good way to improve.
Right, perfect. Okay. And let's see, we have Sharitha. I will get it right eventually. Any thoughts?
That is, you're pronouncing my name correctly, so thank you. I enjoyed the meeting and thank you for allowing me to be a guest. And I look forward to attending again.
Great, we'd love to have you back. And finally, Julie, It's been 20 years, I think you said, or 30 years, or any changes over the times other than Zoom, obviously.
You know, I was just as nervous.
No.
I was nervous then, I was nervous this time. But one thing I guess I was curious about is, have you ever, or does it work to do screen share and do speeches and have, you know, like where people would use, oh gosh, now I can't remember the name of the app that people use when they do presentations. Presentations.
PowerPoint?
Huh?
PowerPoint?
Yeah, like PowerPoint, and use screen share in combination with the speech. Do y'all ever do that, or is that something that somebody could try?
Yeah, we have done that. Just depends on your speech and if it's incorporated. But yeah, we do have people take over control of the screen and we'll show pictures of anything, or also part of the PowerPoint. So that is part of the Zoom experience.
Okay, and then how do you sign up? Like if you want to do a speech, like see, I've got one that kind of shut down with COVID that I was doing on climate change, and it's actually in conjunction with some PowerPoint, and I thought, hey, maybe I could do this on Zoom. I don't know if it would work or not, but it would be a good trial to see how it worked.
Right.
Because I just wasn't able to go. See, I was supposed to go to different like retirement centers and different places like that and do this presentation on climate change. So
yeah, once you become a member, then you can just sign up for a role. And if anybody's interested in membership, Ali Tobin is our VP of membership, and he can help us about anybody. You can send him your email or phone number or whatever, and you talk to him. But yes.
Okay. Is there a place you sign up online, or do I need his email address?
If you want to become a member, you could see the little chat button down below.
Okay.
If you want to, you can put your email address down there.
Okay, great.
This is for anybody who wants to become a member. They can put their email address down below. I'll just send you some information on Toastmasters to get you involved in the club. And then after that, once I send you the email, you still want to become a member, I'll send you over to Balut. And I always forget our payment process. So I'm sorry, Balut. But I forget how much it is every week.
I'll explain. So it's there's a $20 one-time sign-up membership fee, and that's for lifetime. Once you become a member of the Toastmasters, that's there. So if you were a member a while ago, it may still show up in the system, and you may not have to pay that money. Otherwise, it is $75 every 6 months, and depending on the month you join, it gets prorated. So it's $75 in April and in September, but if you were to join this month, you would be paying a fraction of that. So, that 75 consists of two different components, one of which is waived only for this section. So it would be $22.50 until April, plus if you need to become a member of the international organization, $20, which you may not have to. But if you do, that would be a total of $42.50 for until April. Then it's back to $75 every 6 months.
Okay. I think I can swing that.
Okay, so I know that was a very long answer, but for anybody else who's considering, I hope that helped as well.
Perfect. And we are way behind schedule, so I'm going to go ahead and close out the meeting. We do have a board of directors meeting directly after this one. Any member is welcome to stay and listen and participate, but all the board members, if you could stay so we can have our first meeting of the year, that'd be great. I just want to say good night.
Thank you, everyone, for
Good
participating.
night, Eric. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good night,
Bye.
everyone.
David.
Yes, sir.
Oh, we'll get you situated with your dues.
Okay.
Oh, don't worry, we'll make it happen.
I don't want to be a mooch, so.
No trouble. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
Eric came on because he said you owe some fees, buddy. He said hey, you're not about to get away with this just because you live in North Carolina, buddy.
Still got to pay. Yeah.
We are having a speech contest on the 6th of February. If anybody would like to come to see the area contest, we would love to have some outside guests from different other Toastmaster clubs. So if you guys want to come, we'd be happy to have you.
Sounds good.
Yeah, is the link going to be the same one, or you're going to send a new one?
I'll send the link out. I'm gonna have to talk to my area director to get the link for the area contest. So, but yeah, I think you guys should come and take a look at